we judge others that they're not ready or they're not worthy or all these other things. If we let go of all of that and found unity, we'd already be in Eden or whatever name you want to call paradise.
Right.
But
Okay.
that's just some of the understanding that they gave me that I was called to share. So we're only as locked into this 3D reality in my experiences as we choose to be in that believe we are. In my experiences, like we're very limitless beings. I mean, when I do portal work, I've seen so many things. And there's one thing they're calling for me to talk about, which I think is interesting. Like I said, I get messages,
Okay.
is some of the work I've done, and it has to do with the galactics. And I didn't believe it was possible or that was going on until it started presenting itself to me. These portals would open up in my third eye, of course, and I would take people through these portals and guide them and see, where they would lead. And it kept happening that I was getting their celestial origins rather than their like human incarnations, right?
Okay.
And spirit, I think it was a validation because for the longest time after my experiences, I came back thinking that there was different forms of consciousness, like, that some people were human and had human experiences, while other people were galactics that their consciousness was being projected into this reality for various things. And I
Okay.
got a lot of validation of that. I remember this one person I worked with. I'm trying to remember which galactic beings they were. I'm not sure they presented themselves, but I believe they were blue entities. But
The
they
avians?
literally reacted. It was
Arcturians, maybe? Avians or Arcturians?
they kind of looked like Arcturians, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
I've done so many, so forgive me on that.
No, you're good.
Sure.
But but it was interesting because the mother and the brother showed up. And they literally were acting like this person was sent here, almost like how we go off to war. It was like how you would be a POW. Like they thought they lost this person to this dimensional reality experience. And so I was able to reconnect them. And part of my understanding of a lot of this is the reason Earth's energetic balance was off as well is because I'm not sure if there was something electromagnetic or something happened that literally the amnesia and various things disconnected them from their home star system. It's kind of like Earth, the soul spark is our power, it's our battery, right? But for them, they have a little bit something different. So Earth got a little off balance where I say, like, some things were more parasitic when we're supposed to be symbiotic with Earth and the
Okay.
Earth energy system. They
Yeah.
became more parasitic of the people and the Earth because they no longer could sustain their energetic systems without being connected to their home planet.
Oh, wow.
And I haven't talked about this anywhere, but that's other than my own groups. But, so that was my understanding of it. And I've had more and more validation of it. And I've connected, more and more people to you know, their homes or where they're here from. Now, other ones, I'm able to go back to the whole Yeshua divinity lines. But some of these people, their consciousness is not part of that, at least not in this incarnation. So it was just really interesting and validating for other people's experiences. I didn't have that experience, but it really helped them to understand, the reason they never felt like this was home is because it's not. They're
It's not.
literally
Yeah.
projecting their consciousness into this reality, into what, some people say I'm an avatar, whatever, into this. Because in my fourth death experience, I called it a vehicle and I had to restart my vehicle and they showed me how, like, this wasn't like a ship for Earth, like to
Okay.
have an Earth experience. So they have their own ships. Let's just call it that.
Gotcha. I've heard
Okay.
them called
Maybe that's,
vessels too.
yes, yeah. So that is kind of how I understood it. But I was being called to say that to, I don't know who needed to hear it, but there you go.
Okay.
sometimes I have to go outside my comfort zone of things I don't like to talk about.
Well, thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wanted to give Leslie a chance to ask a question. I feel like we've been hogging the microphone.
Oh, of course, I'm just intensely listening and soaking it all up. I couldn't help but think of recent. I think I just watched it today, actually. But it was manted beings visited a lady, saved her child or something, or
You posted
they
that
saved her
earlier.
baby. Yes, and I don't know, but one interesting thing that I never heard, and I've listened to so many like different stories from different people with near-death experiences or encounters with extraterrestrials or what have you. But these beings had some sort of like fish line. It looked like a fishing line attached to the light bulb socket, and she said it looked like they were using the energy somehow was helping them. They were interdimensional, basically. But and I don't know. Of course, I'm just think that was me thinking, but I felt like I needed to say that. And like, what are your thoughts on electricity and the interdimensional beings? I guess I don't know. I thought it was interesting.
I feel like they use it a lot and interconnect a lot. Like honestly, sometimes I feel almost doing my energy work over Zoom is sometimes more powerful. Even, I mean, in person is really powerful. But I'm just saying, like sometimes I feel like it really enhances it, like electronics. And after my experience, I was what they call a slider, where like you affect electronics, and being a nurse and not being able to, your battery stops dying on your watch all the time,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. But I remember one time
From Skinwalker.
I was very upset, and it's another way to help you learn to control your emotions, because I was very upset. I blew 3 computers and a router in one night.
Dang.
Wow.
And they were, and this is back when they were like, I think I had 2 gateways, and I forget whatever it was,
I
but they
think
were
it might be your
step
frequency
files.
level. There's something to do, I think, with your frequency once it reaches or does something, because I feel like I affect like the street lamps. It sounds bizarre, but they like literally will go off or like on as I'm like driving past them. I'm like, what? And it just keeps happening. And I'm like, what's going on there?
Wow.
No, I had the same issue. And they had just put all brand new streetlights in by our property, but of course mine was the only one that acted up, or would go on even though it was supposed to be off because it was sun censored. And I moved here, and my daughter's like, because she studied Morse code, she's like, Mom, that thing keeps doing Morse code. That's not just blinking; it's doing Morse code, and it has since we moved in here. I've had it completely checked by all the electricians and the electric company. There's nothing wrong with it.
I have light bulbs in my bathroom where I just have filmed them. I have like these lengthy like films of like, I'm thinking that it's trying to do Morse code. I'm like,
Has anybody translated this Morse code?
Well, she said it keeps saying E and maybe one other letter. She's like, it keeps doing it, Mom. I'm like, yeah, I'll just say ET. No, I'm just kidding. I know one of the letters. I remember she said it was E. So it definitely says E and something
it's
else.
a comforting feeling. I just take confirmation that someone is here with me, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I have a burning question that keeps persisting in my mind. And forgive me if I just cut you off, but I had never heard of soul braiding until I looked at your website. Can you please school me on what the heck that is?
Yeah.
Because I'd have no idea.
Well, one of my understandings of what is so important going on right now is the incorporation of all that we've ever been. To me, all the lives we've experienced are coexisting at the same time. That's why I don't say past life or regression per se, because they're going on in the now and all energetically connected. This is just my experience. Take what resonates, right? That's what I say about all of it. But so what was happening in those same type of sessions I was doing is different lives that they had experienced were, I was literally connecting to them in that space and time, and literally making these portals to connect them and their abilities to all to one timeline, so to speak. And what I've understood is like, we're going back to a point of singularity. So I have like even braided in a bunch of different ones of mine, or they've come to me. I had a huge Merkaba experience where this being came to me. And yeah, but so for some of these experiences, and I know there's a shamanic term for soul braiding, but this is my experience with it, is to reintegrate those different aspects of yourself, what I call fractals. I talk about like this
Okay.
soul cloud thing where there's fractals and my understanding of it. And my daughter's never forgotten, plus my youngest daughter, and has pre-birth memories and everything else. So between, she's filled in the gaps, a few things of what they've shown me. Um, so, to understand a little better, there's source or prime creator, like I like to say, that created, like, and according to my quantum hypnosis and my daughter's pre-birth memories, the first forms became godlings, and the godlings fractured into angels, and the angels fractured into human souls. It's a long thing, but there's also all these personality complexes, is what I call them, of these same fractals. Uh, and when we incarnate, we bring a certain amount of those that want to work on things, right? Or they have abilities that we're going to need in this lifetime that we've learned in other lifetimes. That's my understanding. So to incorporate those and that knowledge into your energetic field is what I call that soul braiding, if that makes sense.
Okay. I
Is
think I've heard other people explain, and I don't know if it's something similar or exactly the same, but
Ooh,
basically
I think I
they'll
know
go
what you're gonna
through
say.
what?
I was thinking I know what you're gonna say, but
Oh,
I don't.
well, basically, like where they will go through like a past life regression therapy and like maybe like reclaim some of their energetic tethers that are still just kind of out there floating around. It's just
Soul
basically like
fragment.
reclaiming your energy, I think.
right, right. Aspects of yourself.
Right.
hmm and the more you do that, I have found, is the more you have the energy and the frequency and the remembrance, to, I don't know how to say this, but to be like basically a more powerful manifester, because all of these beings have had these similar and many lifetimes of their own and their aspects of you. So to have that remembrance and that ability of learning how to navigate this, what I often call it a simulation, holodeck, whatever, after a different experience I had.
Okay.
So I think, it's kind of funny. One of my NDE friends told me to see, I think it's the last Matrix movie. What is it? Matrix Revelations? Or is it
Yeah, I think that's what it
Resurrection?
is.
Because she balled through it, and so I took me and my whole family, and it was during COVID, so there's only like 12 people maybe max in this little room, viewing this, and they had to think we were nuts, because first we're crying, then we're cheering, like, finally, the truth is out, because it was so accurate to our experiences.
Wow.
Um, and I had a different experience, where I was pulled out of body and told this was called Project Dreamscape. And I've had other people validate this who know a lot about it, so this is interesting.
Hmm.
But it's where, like, all the
Mm.
dreams and all the other timelines, everything's recorded. So it's kind of like future people. I don't even know if it's future people, so just bear with me. But my understanding of it was that it was a virtual reality, but that became so enmeshed. I guess that's why the movie Bliss, I will say that now, because I saw it later, really sticks with me, because my understanding of it was that, like in the movie Avatar, where, like, he's in this vessel and he's projecting into the Avatar body.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's very much like that. But the issue and the problem that happened, they said, was that people, their neurons and everything became part of the simulation. Like the whole energy system
Oh.
became so entangled that if they were just to eject them from it, there would be neurocortical damage. And so that some of us came into this in order to bring that awareness back to them, because to help them detach from it, like to keep showing them things, to help them awaken, to know this isn't their reality. And that's just another layer of truth. But they showed me that I came here because, like, my husband and daughter are really my loved ones on that platform, and that's why I came back to this lowest frequency, was to help them wake up, because I didn't want them to be, literally, they were unaware. They were asleep, and I couldn't bring them back to their own reality. I am. Then that's another reason where I believe, that different consciousness is projected different here. So that's just a layer of it, that some people are projecting it, having an experience maybe from the future, because we did all that, research on that, and how to astral project and everything. So maybe people in the future were doing it. I am unsure. I've had different people validate it from their own experiences or just things they know and shouldn't know. Even I was even told to be quiet about it by a few people. But yeah. But to me, I feel like unless it's that authenticity thing, I'm very big on, people have a right to know what's going on with them and their experiences.
Sure.
So if that resonates for people, then that's important. And that's why I started speaking out. And they told me that's why I do, is to help those like galactics and people who are a part of that dreamscape and everything else, to bring that awareness so they can make a conscious choice of where they want to be.
Nice. And is that where your activation work comes in also?
Um, from my understanding, from what they told me, and like my understanding from my fourth death experience was that, and I think it's true for all of us, but our voice carries different frequencies.
Sure.
But I know my voice has changed after this. Like I carry certain frequencies that are healing, but I also carry light code activations and code activations. Also with that whole experience and this other portal experience, I started in real time downloading what most people would say, like the Fibonacci spiral, those 0.00 something, these golden codes. I came lucid of it. I was kind of just in a theta stage, and then I became completely lucid, and they're like, don't move, we're almost done, just and they were downloading all of these codes, and they were glowing in like like a golden light, just like my first death experience. And there were thousands of, it just looked like one of those spinning wheels.
Wow. Okay.
And but part of what they said is, so I don't meet anyone by accident, not that any of us do, but I'm just saying, like, now I'm more aware of it. Like, oh yeah, I was supposed to meet you. I had a code for you. Like, I even went to the IANS conference because there was one gentleman there. They told me, you have to meet. You have this for him.
Oh wow.
So I did.
Okay.
Nice.
Because he's got work to do for us. He needs this, kind of thing. So
Okay.
that's my understanding. I don't know. Like I said, I know how far out. Like, especially coming from a medical background, some of these things, but until it's kind of one of those things, I even would have been skeptical until it happens to you.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
and even when I heard other people's experiences, I'm like, in a sharing group or something, I'm like, can that really happen? And then I have all these experiences. Like, it's like, oh, okay, well, all right, thanks. Because the more we understand, of these things, the more, like I said, we can navigate consciously. So
Sure.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any questions necessarily.
I do.
Yeah.
I always do.
Well, go ahead. Like I said, I don't want to just keep rambling about everything that sounds so out there. I've spoken more out there things in this little
No, that's
session than
great.
No,
anything.
we love
Yeah.
it. I take it as a compliment when somebody that we're interviewing says, "Oh man, I don't usually get a chance to talk about this,"
Yeah.
But for some reason on our show, they just spill the tea, and it's like, "Hey, I'm here for it."
Yeah.
But there's something that, and I may be like thinking too hard about this or projecting too much, but I think on two different occasions you mentioned what's coming. And yep, see, look, I pay attention. And there's been a lot of talk about like the year 2027 and how there's this thing that's going to happen, but nobody knows what this thing is, but it seems like people are aware. So fill us in. What's going on? Because you mentioned the thing that's coming, and I picked that up. My ears were like, ooh, wait a minute. What was that about? So come on, girl, let's hear it. What you talking about?
Okay, well, okay, just like being a psychic. I'll tell you this, just like being a psychic, right? I'll tell people I don't often give psychic things
Okay.
in the sense that what we believe, what we seek, we create. And that's part of what they showed me. So that was part of the reason so many of us light beings came here, to switch the energetic balance so these things would not transpire as cataclysmic as they could have,
Okay.
right? So my understanding of some of this, is to switch the timelines, and according to everything I've been getting, it has. Okay.
Oh, good.
Um, I mean, I'm not saying that some people who do not align with the other energies won't experience that, because they have showed me that.
Okay.
I'll get to that experience in a second. But my understanding is, yeah, 2024 to 2027 is a huge spiritual shift, and a whole shift in how our whole dynamic of the earth runs. But how it's going to play out is going to take like probably another 100 years. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, like, there is like many different shifts and awarenesses that'll happen and timelines to be chosen. From
Okay.
what I understood, one of my experiences, um my very first interview that never went public,
Oh.
I did it with this well-known medium, and she got all this input before that just totally threw me sideways, because my mother came through, and she has since many times. But it was to validate the same stuff she told my daughter the night before. So it was kind of interesting, because she was telling me, like, she had never seen anything like this, and I could tell it really disoriented her. She's like, "No, I'm not kidding. You are so safe. Like, you are so protected. It's insane." She's like, "I can't even, as far as me." And the message was to just keep speaking my truth. Like, I'm so protected that nothing's going to happen to me. And this is relevant in the sense of, during this experience that I was shown, and I get that it's like a message, like how analogy type thing. There was all these people hiding in these buildings, and I happened to be walking through this like commercial like building. I know it had lots. It was this white kind of warehouse looking type building, like a store or something. And there was all these people hiding in the back on their knees, just scared to all get out. And I was
Mm,
begging them to like let go of that. They were safe to get off their knees. You know, um,
okay.
it can't harm you, because they believed what was playing out in front of us in this, what I call holodeck, right?
Hmm.
Um, and they were so attached to it that they could be harmed. Um, and they were showing me like these huge wave hitting, and there was other people like me, like nothing was happening to them. They were perfectly safe. And these other people getting slammed into buildings, the world getting just crashed and wiped out, and all those that had this knowing that and were detached from the storyline were perfectly fine.
Hmm.
And I've had different experiences, saying that there was going to be all these cataclysmic earth type things happening as
Mm,
the energies of earth shifted and different things happen. And there is a cycle to earth as well. Um, and so I had all those experiences that people have talked about, where they're trying to predict this whole doom and gloom and the whole world's going to, you know, implode and different things like that. My understanding is there, and we're already experiencing seeing them, but a lot of these natural phenomenons that are going on with the earthquakes and the all the waterworks, I call
Hmm.
them, but
yeah.
they're much less than they would have originally been. I'm not saying that there's not going to be some slight shifts, because I had one experience that was really creeped me out, because it was giant blocks of ice falling from the sky, like an instant freeze.
Oh, wow.
um, and different things like that I've seen. But I believe, because I'm so multidimensional, like they're different timelines that Earth has experienced or will experience. Because it was in my current time, but not this lifetime. If that makes sense. So
Hmm.
all of these are available to experience. I often say, from what they've shown me, is that you can choose your timeline like a Rolodex, and I've had definite experiences of that. And even where they've shown me, like, I don't count these in my death experience, but where I like died and it was rewound, like reset. And my
Okay.
daughter's had like what I call reset experiences. Even when the Mayan calendar, all that was supposed to, the 2012 thing.
Hmm.
Me, my twin flame, my daughter, and some other people all experienced some major events that day, where everybody else who's just didn't notice the darn thing, but it
Right.
literally was a reset. Like, she saw it rewind.
Okay.
So there's lots of these things that go on that we're just not consciously aware of.
It's reminding me a lot of like what Dolores Cannon said, where when she's talking about the Earth ascending and there's going to be a split between, 3D and 5D. And a lot of people are like, well, what does that mean? Is Earth like going to go through mitosis and physically split itself into two different Earths? And she's like, no, it's more of
No.
like an energetic shift to where like if your soul contract is to work through the denser 3D things, you'll go through those cataclysmic type of events, so to speak. But if you're here as a light worker to help raise the frequency and vibration of the planet, you'll experience a totally different outcome, so to speak.
And that makes more sense to me. I've never believed in like a actual physical split at all.
Yeah,
It's
no.
just the frequency of Earth that you're aligning with.
That part.
You know,
That part.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and that's my understanding of it too. Or that it may be like, okay, if you're detached in the observer or creator view, you cannot be harmed by what is creating as a collective on the planet, even if you're physically here, because I don't know, it's just what they have shown me.
Okay.
And how that plays out, I'm not exactly sure. But I can tell you one experience. I do a lot of work in the quantum field and
Okay.
the astral fields and stuff, even in my down sleep time and things that I'm lucid of. Well, one of these experiences was, I've had two that were really kind of trippy and validated later, but one of them was that my daughter and my twin flame and I were doing something. I don't know, because sometimes we do this work to set timelines back, okay, to where they were supposed to be. And what happened to her is, I don't remember, but she was going through there's broken glass and she had cut her foot. But I remember him saying, like, it's becoming too real to her. We got to get her out. And, she does have a scar right there. Like, and I have woken up from some of those experiences with new scars, new, active wounds, and different things that I didn't have when I went to bed. But if
Wow.
it's just like they show me, it's just like this reality. They're all realities. The more you literally lock into them and believe they're happening to you, it physically affects you. And I can say that too as medical intuitive. That's exactly what it is. Um, and so that was a validation of that. In fact, I had this whole portal experience, this weird experience at the IANS conference overnight. And this being was trying to grab me because there was this big portal of light. I was gonna headed into her, or I don't know if I was being sucked into it or if I was trying to go. And they yanked me back because I felt like it was like
You
I
got
was gonna
yeeted.
leave. Yeah, like I was gonna leave. I was yeeted back, and literally, I kid you not, I was.
I
And there
believe
was
you.
marks on my arm. And I showed it to that same lady who was talking about the Sasquatch, and she's like, "Holy crap!" 'Cause she was trying to match it, see if they were like human or what they were, because she had just seen me the day before, and I'm not a fan of long sleeves, so you could actively see it, right?
Mhm.
And so she's like, "Holy!" And they were bright purple, like somebody had
Wow.
to just really yank me.
Oh wow.
And
Wow.
and so my roommate, I mean, because she was part of the experience, and as I was coming back from it, because the reality was in grayscale when I was trying to, and then in the 3D reality, like she had just gone to the bathroom to turn the light on, but I guess it finally came out because I was yelling for her, because once I saw that reality, I was yelling for her, and then she finally heard me and she came and like, well, like, hey, what's going on? Oh
Yeah.
my god. And then to have these
Jeez.
huge bruises the next day, there, nobody grabbed me like that. I
Right.
was yeeted. So I just want people aware of that. And, and some of my truths, or what I call my truths, I'm not sure everybody would experience. Because I mean, I know they've told my daughter that it has something to do, like our abilities and how much light we can hold has to do with our DNA lineage
Mm.
Okay.
and some of the other things.
Okay.
I'm not saying that people can't have these experiences, because that's part of what we're doing, and how I told you about working with light channels is to do that healing, to expand our light channel and activate that, what they call, the scientists wanted to call junk DNA.
Yeah, it's not
No,
junk
it's our
DNA.
birthright. Yes. Yeah, those are our birthright. That's literally, okay. From my understanding, it was weird because there was this validation from Bashar a few days
Daryl
later
Anka.
that yes, Daryl Anka, thank you.
Uh-huh.
I do know that. I just couldn't grasp that name for a second. Um, where he said something about Sasquatch were the original beings on this planet that were actually altered. I don't know if you've ever seen that clip, but somebody had sent it to me. And my other lineage to the tribe of, were they the tribes of Israel and different things. So there's a lot of different weird lineage things for me that all aligned, I should say. And with my husband, you know, to have my children and to have me. And I was even shown I was supposed to have my children and that they'd be this and that. I mean,
Yeah, I do feel the strong push to share the knowledge and the light that I've gained, and I have, I guess, experiences, but nothing. I couldn't even touch the experiences that you have and what you do. And I would love to be able to, continue to learn and be able to be of more service than. But for now, I feel like my service is just to take everything that I've learned and to tell everybody, because I think part of what's happening now is a need for people to really know who and what they truly are. And they're not just this human body, they are a spiritual being having a human experience. And there's just much purpose in the whole thing. And for everybody to know that about themselves, it's like something I feel the need to help share. And with Allie doing this, it's like a perfect way to do that. And here we are talking to you, which is amazing. And everything you're saying, I'm just like absorbing it. I mean, like I get to do the real time, learning. I love it. It's great. So thank you for sharing everything. Yeah.
I was just gonna say thank you for holding space. I'm sorry. Sometimes when it stops for a second, I'm not sure if somebody's done, so I apologize. But I think the interesting thing is, my youngest daughter's pre-birth memories. She said that, like, literally to other places and like these planets, they literally have like magazines advertising Earth and the things you can experience.
Really?
And I thought yes, and I thought it was funny because I always like to validate it with somebody else's experience. A friend of mine's experience, they showed it like a whole, and I think I experienced this too because I always say it's like a amusement park. But for him, they literally showed him like, you think this is suffering, but this is how it looks from the spirit side. Like this is the gravitron, not like that. But his whole thing, for his experience, they were literally showing it like it's for us as a spirit and or a galactic or anything else. This is like a huge, cool experience, to be able to experience emotions,
learning experience.
Yeah.
Earth school, as Dolores Cannon says, right? Earth school.
Earth, and some people do refer to that, and I always say, oh yeah, it's kind of one layer of it's kind of like Hogwarts. Some of us are here as Professor McGonagall, and others of us are just kind of finding our way. How many ever Earth visits we've had, right?
Yeah.
But it's kind of interesting in that aspect, because from my understanding of Earth school or Earth is like you can have any experience you want to here. So if you believe it's an amusement park, it is. If you believe it's a school, it's a school. If you believe it's this what do they call it?
Place.
Yes.
It is.
Or like this loose trap. I mean, all of these things, I have had experiences that could validate them. So I know all these layers of this Earth and the experiences here
The belief
are very much real
so
and real for they're real for you to experience. So I always say, well, you don't have to believe the things I speak, but the only thing that I preach is love, and love is just going to bring you to abundance. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No.
Right.
But if you came here truly for the messed up chaos kind of, it's here for you as well.
Yeah, for real.
So, I've had too many Earth visits. I don't want to live that paradigm anymore.
Yeah, right.
Right.
So
they've shown me I've been here since Earth, was that thought form in that 2019 experience, and that and I've had validation that I was like water and wind was my first incarnation as those elementals and just different things like that. But that's where I said in the experience that I've come too far, experienced too many things to miss us finally getting where I work towards.
Right. So
I get to experience it too, darn it.
Exactly. With that being said, what would your greatest hope for the future of humanity be?
For humanity?
Yeah. Greatest hope for the future of humanity, knowing everything that you know.
Well, my understanding is eventually all of us light beings, galactics, and everybody get to go home, and the Earth is left to the humans. And my hope for them is, that they keep expanding and learning to navigate and be mindful of their emotions and what they're creating, and become this unity consciousness to evolve the earth into the paradise that is here for them to experience, I guess, is what I could say to that.
I love that.
Yeah,
I
That's
love
that's
that too.
awesome.
Yeah, because we're
Yeah.
all about expanding people's awareness. That's why we're doing this show. We're trying to just help people like learn new things and realize that there is a different reality out there that they
Mhm.
probably haven't been taught about or have too much experience with, and just normalizing the conversation. You know what I'm saying? Just like bringing it out and talking about it and not having a stigma attached to
Yeah.
it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Mhm. Well, that whole thing without judgment, I mean, you know, judgment create. Look, I mean, we say fear damages the world, but think about how much judgment does. Because judgment makes you talk about other people. It makes you say unkind, unloving things about other people.
Yeah.
It creates separation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just as insidious.
Good
And
point.
it's very easy to turn that judgment if I catch myself having a moment, where I'm just like, I can easily turn that into compassion,
Yep.
and part of me, it still feels like an understanding that everybody's just where they're at, and there's a reason they're there, because obviously everything is divinely planned out, and we are intricate parts of each of our personal stories, and so everything really is okay. I feel like, like for everybody, and for those who we want to understand where we're at, it's challenging, but I guess that's also part of each of our experiences as well, and to learn how to navigate that. So
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, when I'm having a moment, a 3D moment, as I like to call them, I always remind myself like everybody else is just another aspect of me. I am them, they are me. We are all one. We're all part of the same source that fractalized into all these individual little aspects to have all these little individual experiences. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we're all one. So it's like, when you look at somebody as another aspect of yourself, it's hard to cast such harsh judgment because like Leslie said, the compassion comes in. Well, it's like, well, this person's just experiencing this thing and they're at this point in their journey and
Mhm.
they're probably learning this lesson. And, you know, I would just like to encourage our listeners and our audience to have those reminding moments to express compassion rather than judgment if you do find
and for
yourself
yourself too, when you do have those 3D moments.
that part
Yeah.
too. Yes.
Because if you think about it, if everybody's a reflection of you, when I see people acting out of judgment, they're I never take anything personal because it's a reflection of them and what they feel they
It's a
lack. It's
projection.
their lack. It's their own unhealed things of.
Yes.
So when you find, I always say self love is self mastery. Like you can master the everything. If you're able to find that and embody that,
Hmm.
you know, because that's where it all ends. I always, anything else is literally just an illusion
Right.
of creation. And I'll say one more thing on that. In my beyond quantum hypnosis that they did with my higher self, one of the things I said was that this earth experience, was a godling's game of smoke and mirrors, that there were just mirrored aspects of all their emotions and everything
Mm.
they were, but that there was very few beings here. They were all aspects of these particular godlings in that experience. That whole part of that quantum hypnosis really threw me because I wanted answers for why I had all these near death experiences
Hmm.
and why was certain stuff repeating and why have I had such expanded experiences, and that was all part of it because in that particular regression I said I was love and that love was an elemental. There's elementals of creation and they all have to do with emotions and that they're not bad. We judge bad, right, wrong. because I said the ones that altered the earth experience were, like hate and especially envy and other things, because they told me my creation was too perfect. Nothing could be that
Okay. So
perfect.
you had to so in other words, there had to be some kind of dualistic thing in order for real learning to take place, right? You can't understand love until you've been hated on. You can't understand happiness until you've been super freaking sad.
Right. Right. And so they said it was too perfect. So what happened with that is that they said that I put all these fractals. I've had other experiences showing this of myself, of love, back into it to balance out the envy and all the other emotions that were put into it. So that was really interesting. But on a spiritual note, time is different there. They didn't realize they would be caught here for,
Mm.
because, our linear time here makes it seem like forever, all these incarnations, even though they're going on at once. Because I remember a session I did, and Lilith came through, and there's a lot of people who have different feelings on that just because of the Bible, um, but she was so envious of the human creation that she wanted to experience herself, but she didn't realize like all she would give up to incarnate.
Mm.
And so she was very, very upset that she had lost contact with that. So part of that healing was for me to show her all these other fractals of herself, and that she never lost herself.
Oh, okay.
She just had the illusion that she was separated from all she ever was. And that's why she had, these deep wounds, because she thought she was lied and betrayed and everything else, or like tricked into incarnating. So that was
Mm.
a really interesting experience,
Well,
connecting with
thanks for
her.
helping her reconnect and figure all that out, because I'm sure she's grateful also.
Yeah.
That was a really profound experience, because I didn't even know if she was a real, same with Yeshua. We read all these things and we wonder, were they real? Are they real?
Yeah.
It's, but they're, that's why I name my stuff Spirit Sight, because they told me with that like divine sight, you can see, like you can read the light codes in what words and what things, even in the Bible and all these religious books. They told me like the pieces in are all things. It reminds me of the Da Vinci Code. Like if we became this unity that we are, we would have all our truths, but nobody
Okay.
wants to share their knowledge.
Mm.
It's hidden within all things, and until we become one and share all that, and all these, I'm sure there's lots of mystic teachings and various things, you know that speak the truth of our reality, but we judge others that they're not ready or they're not worthy or all these other things. If we let go of all of that and found unity, we'd already be in Eden, or whatever name you want to call paradise.
Mm.
Right.
But
Mhm.
Okay.
that's just some of the understanding that they gave me that I was called to share. So
Well,
thank
that
you.
was actually a perfect segue, because I was about to ask you if you could share with our audience where they could find you, what kind of things you have going on, what kind of upcoming things you have going on, and how they can work with you if they feel drawn to.
Okay. Yeah. I think you'll probably share it, but I offer, I think, like six different types of sessions. One is my remote guided healing session, um, where literally it's whatever comes through from spirit. It's everything from activations to soul braiding to, I normally, if you've never had any energy work done, they have me walk your whole timeline of everywhere you fractured and fractured into other timelines and everything else.
Wow.
So, there's a lot of depth to it. That's like usually like 2 hours. But that I have a Calendly thing that schedules all that I think you have the links to. Also, I run a weekly sharing group where we talk about all of these things on Wednesday nights at 7 Central. But all those things are in my links. I also do, like I mentioned, the celebration of consciousness, where we have different speakers and different people who practice different spiritual practices or modalities for you to experience yourself, so you know what resonates with you. Because I think that's
Mm.
very important. You don't want to hire different healers or different things, or study under people that you just don't know if you're going to resonate with. So I
Right.
find that's very important to put out there. And I'm going to be teaching an upcoming class, as I mentioned, at the International Association for Near Death Studies, um, literally a month from this interview, which is March 19th, called Becoming a Divine Conduit, where I talk about all the different things for the alignment and clearing of the light channel. And then part two is embodying it. And there's going to be different activations and some of the sigils and different things my daughter downloaded, including eternity healing, which is all of our timelines together. So I'm going to be giving a lot of that in class only meditations and things for those type of purposes and activations. So I'm excited about that. It's a 2-part thing, one in March, one in April. But that's pretty much what I have going right now.
Awesome. There's a
so I
lot
thank
that
you.
you have to offer people. So I just wanted to
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Yeah.
We're going to have whatever, all your links down in the description box below. So if people want to check that out, they could definitely
Yep.
click on that down there.
Yep.
And I just wanted to just personally thank you for just being such a light worker. These are turbulent times on planet Earth.
Yeah.
And we need more people like awakening to this type of stuff. So thank you for being a literal beacon of light on this
Thank
planet right now.
Yes,
Sincerely, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for holding space and holding spaces like this,
Absolutely.
where people can share all of these things in a space where people are at least willing to listen for their own expansion, and that's so important.
Yes.
And one of the things I was shown real quick is that when we're speaking these, they go out to all. What they showed me of my own is that it's not necessarily for this timeline. It goes through all that is, and
Oh.
putting that out there is very important for many of these timelines that are unaware of themselves. Like, I don't understand it exactly, but they told me it's for more than just us.
So we're making a
it's-
big impact, is what you're trying to say.
We're making
Yeah.
ripples
Yeah.
through the timeline.
Yeah, ripples through the different dimensions.
Mhm.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Most definitely, yes.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
feel like it's important to say that every choice we make is choosing timelines. I feel like, so it's like every moment we're choosing timelines with our choices that we make, and so we focus and try to make good choices. And I think you're going in the right direction, I guess, to be observe yourself and and the impact that we can make for others as well. It's a
Awesome.
beautiful.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for
You're
coming
welcome.
on the show and spreading your light.
Yes.
And yeah,
And thank you
everybody
for
check it out.
joining our server as well. We appreciate you joining the Hello Alley Discord server and sharing your love and light there as well. And so yeah, I'm just really grateful for everybody
Yeah.
that's on this call, for the information that we've shared and talked about, and of course for our lovely audience that's here watching us. And while you're here, do us a favor, click that like button, hit subscribe, ring our little notification bell, drop a lovely comment down below, and share this video with your family and friends. Thank
Bye,
you
everybody.
guys.
Much love.
Thank you very much.
Much love,
Thank you.
peace, and namaste.